This is another episode of Ask the Attorney, and we're going to deal with some probate issues today.
Okay.
Okay, because we know how hairy those get and how...
Well, we just see a lot of them all the time.
Yeah, but it always seems to be a lot of issues around that. And the biggest one of the things we all need to know, and I'm not going to butcher it this time, we need to know the basics of intestate succession. Did I say that right? Intestate succession.
No, it's kind of like driving down the interstate in Texas, because here in Texas we need to succeed.
So it's the interstate of success? Is that what it is?
It could be.
Could be.
Where they, well, you know.
Okay, that's a weird thing.
Luck and opportunity cross, but intestate succession.
Intestate succession.
You got that?
Okay,
and all
what
that
is it?
Is how in various states, their laws will differ a little bit from state to state, but how from an estate perspective, who takes when someone passes away? You know, it's the lineage that you follow through from both a community property as well as a separate property perspective. You know, for instance, if you have a husband and wife and one passes away, there's no will, well, maybe one spouse gets everything, but maybe not. Depends on the laws.
Okay.
It also depends of that state, but also depends on, have there been any prior marriages? Maybe the husband had a prior marriage and had 2 children, and the wife, no, of course, didn't. Well, these 2 children might get half, and the wife only get half. The problem is they don't know that.
Yeah.
They think that they
Maybe they don't even know there's kids.
Sometimes
you run
they
across
don't. We run
that
into
too.
that all the time. Or they don't know where they are. They can't find them. And we've had that situation happen. But again, that's just another reason why you should have a will. And that way it can be probated as needed appropriately. But even with a will, Susan, typically most states have statutory time frames in which to probate. And we come across so many scenarios where there is a will, but it's 20 years old. Well, the statutes of limitations have run, and you can't even utilize it.
And what are
anymore.
that, 4 years?
Here
7
in Texas,
years?
it's 4 years.
4 years.
But other states could be a little bit different as well.
Okay.
But again, I think it's very wise for investors to find that knowledgeable probate lawyer or a proper class to take to get an idea of how it works. You don't need to be an expert on it. You don't need to be a probate attorney on it. Lord knows I'm not a probate lawyer, but you know, having a good working knowledge of first, second, third tiers maybe. You don't need to go down 5th, 6th, 7th tiers of these kind of things where it gets really sloppy.
So it's kind of like an org chart.
An org chart.
Yeah.
Organization. It
an
is kind of
organization chart where you have all the flows.
In a sense.
Okay.
Yeah, in a sense.
All right.
It is.
So
But you
that's
start with
what
that,
it is.
I think. And I think
Okay.
that's very viable, and it's a great tool for investors to have.
To know about it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And just to understand it.
To understand it. Okay. We got a couple questions about some probate issues around an IRS lien. And we were trying to figure this out yesterday.
Well, I'm not sure if I have the complete answer, but let's try it.
Okay. A parent passes and they have 3 children.
Okay.
Okay? All 3 survive, but one of the children has an IRS lien and a judgment liens.
Okay.
What are the options? I mean, how does that work? Can you, will it attach to the other kids?
Well, what
I mean,
will happen is in a simple scenario, if you have those 3 kids, each child will take 1/3. At least here in Texas they will. Again, I got to comment that everybody needs to check their particular state. But in Texas, each child gets 1/3.
Okay.
And lien issues, because this becomes here in Texas separate property, the judgment liens and the IRS liens are going to attach to that interest. And you go, yikes. Now, it doesn't attach to the other 2 at all, but just to the one.
The one.
So if they take their interest at the closing table based on lien priority, meaning when those liens were filed first in time, his interest or any dollars are going to go to that first lien holder, then the second lien holder, then the third lien holder, and
then he gets what's left.
Which is often zip.
Wow.
Now, there are some things that the siblings can do. This is between the siblings. I don't always suggest it or recommend it, but could you file a waiver of interest on the one sibling? You could. That means the other two get everything. That could happen. Now, what people do after closing and the things of that nature, that's up to them.
Right.
I'm not going to dictate that. I'm not going to get involved in it. But that's always an item for consideration.
A creative way around it.
Well, it could be, but I try not to get off in those weeds too much. I'm going to let them make those decisions. That's not something I really want to be doing.
Okay, but no matter what, even if he does that and he waives his interest, he still has all those liens and debts.
Well, they don't go away.
They don't ever go away.
Until they fall off.
Till they fall off, which is 10 years.
Well, it depends on which one it is.
Okay, so let's take that a step further, which happened as well.
Sure.
You have one child who predeceases the mom.
Okay.
But
So by the way, it's always the mom, isn't it? Because we guys always die first, it seems like.
that's true. It is.
Why is that?
Why is that? Because,
Is it so stressful living with you women?
no,
Or
I
what?
think it's
Because
just,
we work so doggone hard to keep you in the lifestyle
No.
you wish to become accustomed? Which one is it?
I think you're just all so stressed out, whacked out, that you just conk earlier.
There are days.
There are days. Okay, let's go back to this. The one child precedes mom, but that child has an IRS lien.
Would it?
Do
so
these
from there-
liens pass to the surviving heirs? What if the heir has children? Do the liens pass to the children's interest? So mom dies.
Okay, I got it.
No, the child dies before mom dies, then mom dies.
So first scenario is maybe the one child who passed away first before mom has some lien issues. Would it somehow go to the other two brothers and sisters? No. That's an
Okay.
easy one, I think. Now, based on when the child dies, they may go ahead and their descendants or their children would take underneath them. So the question then becomes, would the IRS lien then impart to the children? At first blush, my answer is no, because it is not the lien of the children, and title never went into this deceased child's name. Although it flows through them, title went from mom to the descendants, kind of in that order. And because of that, I don't think it's going to attach to those descendants of that deceased child that had the lien issues.
So basically, when he dies, the issues go away.
Pretty much, I think, in that scenario.
You would
It
think.
could go to a possible to a spouse or things of that nature, but children don't inherit their parents' problems per se, unless
Yeah.
they've signed for something personally in that instance.
Okay.
Hope that's clear though for everybody. And it's again learning some basic little things.
But if
And
that heir that died had children,
Well, that's what I just said, that the heir that died has children. Since the title of the property goes from, in this instance, the mother as your example, it went straight to the children. Title didn't actually go from mom to this child and then invest, as we call it, and then from here, over, it
they
went
just
straight
skipped
down.
him because he's
Been
dead.
skipped.
Okay.
And for that reason, I don't think that these two children are going to be hit with that in some format.
Okay, so what if you can't get all the heirs to sign a contract? And
that's
you
a
need
problem.
them all. This is Kirchhoff dilemma.
Well, we run into all these kind of things.
Right.
I mean, all the time. I know we're working one right now in Central Texas that way, where we've got 3 of the 4. Can't get the 4th. They're trying to convince them. There's issues, problems, security clearance issues that they're dealing with, and it's trying to come up with solutions. But sometimes we can go buy 1/10 of the property, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. Most investors don't want to deal with this stuff because it does get messy, it does take a lot of legal work, and it also becomes cash intensive because lenders aren't going to lend you money. They
Okay.
can't get a title policy. A title company's not going to give a bank a title policy on 3/4 of a property.
Right,
It's just not going to happen, right?
right.
So if you come across those scenarios, all sorts of things can happen, such as where you can buy that 3/4 interest. Do you want to actually file what we call a partition action, which is a for sale against that other heir? It could be done. Now you got to be careful, because if that other heir might be a spouse, so maybe there's 2 or 3 children on one side, and there's, let's say, the wife. Because as you know, Susan, we all die first before the women.
That's right, you do.
We're cursed.
At least 4 to 6 years.
This one's not doing it. I'm going to outlive. I'm just
Okay.
telling you. So, you know, maybe you're able to buy the interest of these 3 children, but the wife, she's going to have a life estate in the property. You can't buy her out. So you got to make sure you understand how that game is going to be played a little bit. Okay?
Okay.
So you can't just force everybody out. But if it's just heirs only,
Okay.
who didn't live in the home as their homestead when someone passed away, now one heir can't hold the other heirs hostage and go, I'm not selling the house, therefore y'all can't get any money. No, that heir who doesn't want to sell, they have the right to buy out the other heirs, just like these heirs have the right to require this heir to sell, and if necessary, through a court action. But I've also found so often when you get other personalities out of the equation, be it a husband, be it a wife, whatever it might be, maybe persnickety heirs where they have issues, they're going, you know, things get resolved. Not always. And maybe that's a mechanism that allows us to avoid the court action out there.
Okay.
But you need to understand these kind of things, know how to navigate it properly, realize you may have to put a lot of cash out of pocket. It might take 4, 6, 8 months longer through a court battle in order to get things resolved. And sometimes you're rolling the dice.
Okay, you had in this Kirchhoffer dilemma, they bought 50% from 2 heirs, then they found out that the 3rd heir who owned 50% sold the contract to
They didn't sell
another
the
investor.
contract. They had signed another contract with another investor. So now you got 2 investors going through the same property through different sets of heirs, and they're both pursuing the same actions. Okay.
Oh,
That's not who gets there first. The court's going to order the property sold and divide and conquer from there.
yeah. Who would
was
get
just
it?
an
The one that
interesting
pays the
scenario is
most?
what that was.
That'd be a
That-
tough one.
I haven't seen that before, but things like that can happen in the marketplace. One of those
Okay.
strange things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one more question on probates.
Yeah.
Another kind of crazy situation. You ready for this? The father passes away. The brother and sister obtain the property and then they both die. The brother has a will that is probated and he has 2 children from a previous marriage. The sister has no will. She was married when she died. Uncooperative, what that means. She didn't cooperate in the marriage. And she had 2 children. So how in the hell do you
Well,
figure that out?
One, it's not hard to figure out.
Really?
2, it just seems like it's hard to figure out because you have potential rabbit trails you can go down, right?
Okay.
So the first one is easy. So, you know, dad passes away. You got to make sure that his estate was either probated or an heirship affidavit, which is how the brother and sister got the property. Okay. So obviously there wasn't a mom, divorce, prior death, something. Okay. Easy, but you ask those questions. Then you turn around and you go, okay, brother had a will that is actually in probate. So even though he had children by a prior marriage, what does that mean? What's going to govern?
The children from the
No,
marriage.
the will is going to govern. Whatever is in the will is going to govern. You don't have to think about an heirship affidavit or interstate
there is-
succession, or should I say
Okay, but-
intestate
and
succession
Interstate.
in that regard. So with that, that's the easy one. But sometimes people want to go off, but he has 2 kids by prior marriage. No, there's a will in probate, the will controls. Easy. Whatever it says, you do.
Okay.
Next, the sister.
So wait, the brother who had the will that was probated, his share went on to his 2 children?
No, we don't know yet.
Oh,
But everybody's guessing. We're waiting for that probate to come into title to see what it says.
oh, okay.
It will dictate, or the estate can be the seller. Okay? That's an easy one.
Okay.
Now the issue becomes with the sister who
The
passed
sister who
away.
has no will.
Now, she's married, no will, 2 kids, dies. but husband survived her. So long as there's not prior marriages or anything that messes up the sister's side of the equation, the husband's going to get it all. That one's easy. But you oftentimes think
What does
the kids,
uncooperative mean?
well, in this case, we have the spouse isn't cooperating with the sale. Why?
Why?
Don't know. But sometimes it takes putting the deal together first and then having a proper presentation to the husband who survived his wife to sell the property. Then you navigate from there.
Okay, so does it automatically go from the sister who was married, it all goes to the husband who's
Her
being
50% goes to the husband. By the way, an heirship affidavit in this case?
Even though, well, she had 2 children, are they with the husband?
Nope, of that same marriage.
Okay, they're in the same marriage.
Yep.
But if she had children from another marriage.
Which means she had other marriages, which would change everything.
Right.
But in this case, it made it pretty easy. But the problem is a lot of people see this and they go, but there's kids and there's this and that. And you gotta go, stop. Learn the basics. There's the basic tenets of intestate succession. And it'll help you kind of navigate down that line a little bit. Mm-hmm. And you know, the novice investor who's trying to learn this stuff will follow those rabbit trails oftentimes. Mm-hmm. And you can pull them back and go, nope, a little bit easier than you thought. Really, there's going to be 2 people to deal with, and that's it, not 4 or 5 or 6. So that one became pretty easy in that regard.
Okay.
But again, it's just that learnedness is what helps, I think.
Right. So that's just to circle back and end this video. Intestate succession, not interstate, intestate.
But I'm still going to say that Texas should succeed, okay? Come on.
Okay, Texas should always, especially the Mavs tonight.
I mean, win.
You know, win, they shall succeed, we hope. People watching this, it might be a year down the road, but 2020, the
But no,
Mavs
we
are
want them to succeed from the NBA. We want them to
succeed in
A
the
little bit different,
playoffs.
right?
It's tied
And the
2-2.
spelling's a little bit different also.
Anyway, okay, so intestate succession, the org chart.
Look, we're not going to fly the stars and bars. We're not going to succeed from the state, so just learn how to pronunciate it correctly.
So I wonder if there's an org chart we can create for intestate
It's already been
succession.
done.
Is there?
Oh yeah, for Texas and every other state.
Really?
Buku times.
I would love to see that.
Okay.
We need to
Just ask.
We need to see that and share that
With
with
Susan,
our.
you can go online and Google them in a heartbeat. There's nothing
Yeah, but does
fancy.
it have like an org chart?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Never heard of it.
You haven't looked it up before because you always have somebody doing your work for you.
You never showed me that.
Anyway.
Okay, so that is our Ask the Attorney, all about probate issues and liens and
Things that can happen.
intestate succession. Say that 5 times, I want to hear you.
Intestate succession,
Faster.
intestate succession,
Faster.
intestate
Faster.
succession,
Faster.
intestate succession, intestate succession.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I succeeded.
Good night. We'll see you on our next Ask the Attorney.
Say that 5 times real fast.
Next Ask the Attorney. Thanks for
Thanks.
joining us.